know what? I think that's the best intro for any show we have, bar none.
Up there with the twerk. I mean,
Yes. Nah, it's twerk. Honestly, She-Hulk butt is the best thing. But like, this is a
I
fun
don't know. It's hard to match the pure joy of taking the hobbits to Isengard.
It is. It is.
The
And
OG meme.
it is. But there's a reason I use this intro today because I feel like this is. Oh, by the way, we're talking The Lord of the Rings, Rings of Power. If you didn't know,
A day late and
but
dollar short. So
right, but still better late than never.
it's true.
There's a reason I use this intro today because this happens to be how I feel about the episode. I felt the episode was like okay. There was something I said as soon as the episode was done, and I put in the chat. I don't know if you saw it. I don't know how you feel about it. Lord of the Rings has a way of being like it's the most unique show because it has a way of being boring and good at the same time.
So it's a lot like the
And
movies.
really, I okay. And this is another thought that I didn't put anywhere, but I'm gonna tell it to you right now. So someone was like, "Oh, it is Lord of the Rings," and I was sitting there to myself thinking, like, "Dang, I was kind of expecting the Return of the King and not like Two Tower every week." This show is giving me Two Tower every week, and up with the exception of maybe the second episode, I think this is another one where it's like it's the unique way of just being boring, but like, oh, it's good because it moves the plot, but it's a lot of
Yeah.
boring mess throughout this episode. I'm done talking. How did you feel about it, Roy?
I agree mostly. I think this is a show that both feels like it's moving way too slow and way too fast at the same time. Like like I mean to just jump right into it. Like I don't understand why like Isildur's sister is like anti-war to the point that she convinces that like boy who looks like a failed Roman emperor to like convince her dad to be against the invasion and then blow up two of the ships. And Isildur is cool with it because it lets him get back in his dad's good graces. Like that entire plot made no sense to me. Like I was like, I realized like, did I miss something last week? Like,
did you go back to check?
No, I didn't go back to check. I was just like,
it's like I'll catch it the next time.
Like I guess I shouldn't have skipped the previously on Rings of Power this
Why
week.
would you do that?
Because like I don't know if that was established in the previous episode that she was like I remember she was like kind of flirty with the like with the Caesar boy. Augustus boy.
Yes. That no. I think as well that she might have been anti-war last week. Like when Isildur's dad, gave the speech and she saw Isildur, like, oh, I'm going to join the fight. Like, well, wait, what? I feel like there's a sci-fi or reference that I'm missing.
Is it Battlestar Galactica?
I think so. Yes.
I think it's Battlestar Galactica.
It is. I will do my part. No. Is it? No,
so say
Starship
we all.
Troopers.
The Starship Troopers. Oh yeah, that is Starship Troopers.
Yes, I'm doing my part. Isildur comes up and does that. Yeah, Battlestar. I think there's any sci-fi about war.
You have my sword. I mean, this is
yes, 100%. So I think she made a face, but I don't think they went too deep into why, right? And so
they don't go too deep in why in this episode either.
But that's the thing about this show is like they set something up and then it's like, oh, especially with Halbrand, right? That's what he's a king maybe, but like he doesn't want to go back.
Could be Sauron. Well, we got to answer of somebody is not Sauron in this episode. Which is the guy who's in charge of the.
Yeah, Adar is not Sauron. But also, did you catch the thing where he was telling the orc, okay, like this is the sun, this is how the sun feels, and it's not gonna feel like this for me anymore. Was he saying he was transforming into something, or is he like gonna?
I thought he's trying to like block the sun out. That's what I thought. Because the orcs can run around in Mordor, right?
Yes.
So is that what this is the origin of? Is like this supposed to be like the origin of Mordor? Because the tower that they're on is like right on the border of Mordor, and it's the capital of Gondor.
Yes.
So, is that what this is going to kind of be? Like, At least the impression I got was that his like goal was to blot out the sun.
Yes,
So,
I think that's what we're getting. But it wouldn't even matter because later we get the Uruk-hai, which who can run in the sun. So
well, yes,
like,
but that is in Lord of the Rings terms, like 3,000 years ago or
I
3,000
know, I
years
know,
later.
I know,
So
I know, I know. I'm getting
that that's
I'm getting
technically
way ahead of myself.
Saruman's fault, not
Yes,
Sauron's. So
I'm getting way ahead of myself here. But no, so there were some really high notes in this episode, and some really low notes. One of my major lows of lows, I think you would agree with this one, is Browin and her son and the Black Elf. I thought was super low. Okay, hear me out, right?
Here's where I agree and disagree with you.
Okay, go ahead.
Oh, no, go ahead. You lay out your point.
Okay,
Yeah.
so my super low note about that, right, and why I feel like it's a low note is because like that story has not given me anything. And it's one of the ones that I really want to materialize into something because of the fact that the Reddit boys and the Twitter boys will continue to, see, this is why we don't need this. Like, this, they should have just made him X, Y, and Z. Is that's the, I don't want it to give them a reason, if that makes sense.
That's fair.
And so the story to me hasn't materialized. And also when she gave that speech, I 100% would have marched out the gates. Like,
to go worship. Look, the Lord of our
the speech was bland. It was so lame.
Very bland.
Thank you. So I'm not
tripping. I mean,
right?
the actress is, I think, not super strong. Like, she's not that charismatic. I mean, that could be the costuming, that could be the writing's fault, but like, some of the actors, like the actress who plays Galadriel, like shines through some of the low moments they give her character, right? In this. And I think same with like the woman who plays the queen of Númenor. Like, I think she's got like charisma, and even when like, I don't know, whatever they're doing with her, sometimes it's like, you know what, I believe that this lady is a queen. Like, cool. Like it shines through. You know what I mean? That is not the case with Brawin, right? Is that her Brawin?
Yeah, I think it is.
Like, she's very like low energy. She's but I felt that we got the strongest performance out of the target of Reddit boys ire. Like, I think I thought that this is like, honest to goodness, like I thought this episode like he was like a stronger performance for him, and I thought he actually, the scenes with him and Brawin's son were actually like stronger, and Brawin's son was less insufferable. Like, his tension here of like, should I have left with these people? I'm gonna die, but I want to be brave. Like, I felt the conflict that they're trying to set up, like, for this group of humans with him in this episode, more than any other point. So like, I agree with you that like a lot of it was really stupid, like the speech, and then she suddenly switches, like she gives this whole rallying speech, everyone leaves, and then she's like, you know what, actually Sauron is my savior. What we should it's like,
we should just go, and so you like, that was dumb, because how do you have that person give that lame ass rousing speech to turn around and just be like, okay, whatever, let's go, let's Sauron at the end of the day. So I thought it was kind of lame. Now, so there was that, and then the other part of it for me, another low point. You know what? Númenor, as gorgeous as it is, right, has low and high points. And I think a lot of the low points, hear me out. This one, we might disagree as well, but I think I was bored with the Queen and Galadriel in this episode.
I was pretty bored with them too.
Okay. And then the whole like, oh, if you scratch me, if you draw blood, I'm like, oh, okay. And then Halbrand like kicking up the sword, like, oh my God, we know. Like, you had him beat up 3 people last week. We know, like, you're not like
2 weeks ago, Mo. It was 2 weeks ago.
Oh man, all the episodes are blending into
each other. They do blend together.
So, but you understand what I'm saying? It's like, okay, we get it. Like, I don't want to be part of this, but you are. Like, there's like this whole will he, won't he, like, it's enough. Like,
yeah, I mean, Aragorn at home kind of sucks. So, and I mean, I found him a little bit better in this episode. Like, I thought that the scene between him and Galadriel was pretty good. You know, like where she convinces him and talks about her brother. But I agree with you that like the Queen's equivocation and like Galadriel being Galadriel about it, like, it's just a storyline that has overstayed its welcome. right?
Exactly.
The fact that like I feel like they were leaving Numenor like 3 times, and they
felt like
finally did it in this episode. At the end, after burning through the 2 of the ships, it's just like
because at the end of last week's episode with the gorgeous petals and all of that, didn't we feel like they were leaving Numenor? Only for them to not, only for them to almost leave in the beginning of this episode and then not leave and then talk about leaving again and then not leave and then finally like, come on. But I am glad. I'm gonna say this. I'm glad we're done with Númenor, or we're out of Númenor for now. We're not done because
we're not done because Trump is still there, right? Because Trump wasn't on the ships, right?
So
Trump and his son were not on the ships, right? Like, am I wrong? Trump and Trump Jr.
They weren't on the ships.
Okay.
So knowing what we know about Númenor, right? Knowing that he is the one who brings back. So are they not doing that storyline, or are they just making?
They're definitely going to do that storyline, but like the question is, she might bring him back, and then
okay,
she gets overthrown or whatever.
Okay, so they might do it some. I guess that's why she's here, right?
Yes, I mean, like you can't you're not gonna that's a cool storyline, right?
Yeah, it is.
That that Sauron loses but manages to destroy this beautiful kingdom, right? Like that's a cool storyline. They're not gonna leave that on the table, so they might rearrange the deck a little bit, but they're not gonna not do it. I don't think.
But see, and then the crazy part of that whole Númenor thing, right, is it's Isildur, getting back into his dad's good graces because of his sister, right? The whole thing was the sister set it up so that Isildur didn't have to go, and I thought that was funny. At the end of the day, it was like, look, you incidentally, and then his friends are like, oh yeah, your nepotism, again gets you back, and then his dad just to
fuck with him.
Right, it's like, oh, you're in the stables. Go clean up horse shit. I'm like, okay.
Look, I'm okay with nepotism, but you're gonna have to shovel some shit for a while.
Right. And then his friends are like, you know what? We forgive you.
It's like, look, go shovel the shit, bro. But I mean, that part I didn't mind.
I thought it was all funny. I didn't care for it.
But I hated Trump Jr. The whole Trump Jr. thing, and then Isildur being in the boat and finding it, and then not I thought he was gonna sell him out, and that was how he was gonna get. Right. You know what I mean? He's like, I tried to stop the guy. You know what I mean? And then he'd be a hero for still saving the expedition because he stopped them from burning all the ships, right? But no, they were just no. He was on a fishing boat conveniently. It was just what? Why did he believe this?
So easily believed. That was kind of funny.
I hated all of that stuff.
We haven't talked about the gray guy. We haven't somehow. So, Hobbitses. Yes.
They were definitely better in this episode, I felt.
Okay. Because
there was a lot less Hobbit dialogue. It was mostly beautiful Lord of the Rings music and then singing Hobbit songs. And then them moving. I thought that actually felt very Peter Jackson Lord of the Rings. That sequence.
That it did, showing all the landscape, people walking. That is very Peter Jackson.
And with a song over it, let's not forget.
Yes. No, so the stranger did magic.
Mm-hmm. And it burned
twice,
him.
Right? Yes. How did you feel about that?
So I mean, so the fundamental question. I mean, the question is he Gandalf or is he Sauron?
He's gray.
He is gray, but he also is doing dark magic, right? Because the Eminem and his crew of people who find the landing place, they all have burnt hands from being evil, I guess. I mean, they could maybe not be evil. Maybe Eminem is that's young.
What? Oh, hey, Mart. This is not a hate stream. We actually like the show.
Yeah, I mean, we complain about the show, but we watch it every week and we enjoy it.
We enjoy it. Jesus, that's interesting.
I really don't think we've hated.
Wow.
I honestly get this.
Show that we've done together.
I particularly think comparatively,
Oh,
we have
there,
we are like, all things considered, we are a love stream considering.
yes. There are some streams out there that have nothing good. We're more objective, right?
Yeah,
Or
we take the good with the bad, I think.
yes, that's what happens here. Wow, that
I
broke the
know,
stream, but go ahead.
but
That broke my
anyway,
heart.
so like the question, I think they put more mystery. Now it could be that like Eminem could be Saruman,
Mhm,
right? So not Sauron. So
mhm.
so it could just be that they decided to interpret the use of magic as like burning yourself or what, you know what I mean? Whatever. Like, but it could be that the guy in gray is Sauron. Like, he just doesn't know it yet. That he's returned and, has amnesia and stuff. So I like.
Okay, that is funny.
That is funny.
That is funny.
Like Amazon, well, like those like Twitter bots that
Mhm.
respond to all of the like complaints that people have on Amazon. Those are funny. But I'm interested. Like, I was more interested in the mystery of, like, I was sold that he was Gandalf, like in the previous
Yes,
episode.
I think we both were, right.
And here I was a little less sold that he was Gandalf. Just simply because
But
of the way they've decided to visualize the use of magic.
I mean, okay, so here's my thought process on this, right? I think most magic and most magicians start off like, I don't know about the lore, but I'm just gonna guess, right? If I had to postulate,
Mm-hmm.
I would think that every magician or magic user in this universe starts off, like confused, and then the
Yeah.
confusion will tap into the dark, right? I
Mm-hmm.
think that's what's happening here. But I also think because of what he inadvertently did to Nori,
Nori, I think Nori's her name.
yeah, Nori. I
Hobbit
think
girl.
because of he's going to feel bad about that, and he's going to try to go more positive or use more positive magic. I'm guessing.
Well,
I'm
I mean, he
guessing. I'm
never
I'm
uses
still
magic to like up, like he like accidentally killed the
yeah,
fires, right? And
yeah, that
because
was an
that gets
accident.
established at the beginning, right? He didn't
Yes.
mean to do that. And then here he uses like the violent magic to help the hobbits, but he's like hurt
Yes.
himself by doing it and accidentally hurts her. So it'll be
Yeah.
interesting to see what they do. I really do like, I have a personal thing. I don't like amnesia storylines. And like, I'm like, just kind of like I stopped reading like one of my favorite book series because a whole book was the main character had amnesia. I'm like, I'm not sitting through an entire book of this. Like, I can't do it. So like, that's the kind of way, like, I don't. Do you think they're human? I think they are human, but they could. I mean, again, I think they either work for Saruman or it could be a fake out, and it's Saruman, not Sauron, right?
Oh man.
And so that's.
Wait, you think that is Sauron? You think that could be Sauron
I
that
think it could
fell?
be Sauron or someone working for Sauron, or it could be Saruman. Which, why did you name the two people so close
Two
to the name?
S's, two names, right? Isn't this why
Vulcan.
Game of Thrones did what they did?
Yes, it is. But Rhaenyra and Rhaenyra, oh my god.
Right.
Which, to that show's credit, they did not change the names that time.
Viserion and Viserys.
But I was definitely, the mystery was more compelling to me in this episode than it had been previously. For me, it was just like we were in the Gandalf waiting room, and
Yes.
here I feel like there's more mystery to.
Yes, they definitely have added mystery, and it's like now, because at first, it's easy. Okay, he's gray, he's wearing gray. It's he's helping the hobbitses or the Hobbit grand, and
Proto hobbits.
yeah, he's doing all these things, and then we're going to eventually find him become Gandalf the Grey, and now it's like dark magic, hurts himself, kills things inadvertently, and it's so he might end up just being Saruman, and then I think when was it last week when the old guy was talking about the hilt, he goes, "Hey, did you see, it's going to be preceded by the falling star, right?" And so now all three things have come into play, and I kind of hate it, but I love it. It's like, dang, like, but we have 5 more episodes, and do you think they uncover that mystery at the end of the season?
I hope so. Do we have 5 more? Didn't we? I think we talked about this last week. I think we have 3 more.
Oh, 3 more, because this
Right,
is going
hold
to
on.
be 8 episodes. Yeah. IMDb.
Rings of Power episode count.
Are you going on IMDb?
No, I never go. I don't trust IMDb.
I do.
There's going to be 8 episodes.
Okay, so we have
finale airing October 14th.
Okay, so now let's jump ahead a little bit, because have we covered everything that's happening on this episode? I think.
And so we talked about.
We haven't talked about the dwarfs.
Oh, the dwarf and the elf.
I mean so high points, low points, everything that happened here. I'm sorry. This is again to me the best part of the show. With Durin and I think the highest point of that entire scene or entire scenes or sequences was when you could see Elrond just going through like the like suffering to tell Durin, like he's like going through it, and Durin is like, okay, well, cool, like that's fine. Like now we just got to convince my father. Like Elrond was dying.
It was good. It was well done. I think again, the Elrond Durin like pairing is the strongest on the show.
It is like the friendship and everything about it.
The friendship, the actor. I think the actors also play off each other well, and so yeah, I was like the whole thing with the what kind of retcon that the elves are dying and Mithril is needed to save them thing was a little confusing to me. I was like, I don't remember this like reading the Silmarillion or the appendixes, but whatever. Like, people that hate Rings of Power are the ones that love the elf lore. Well, the elves are, I mean, they have been changed a lot by the show, even if we're ignoring the racism. It
was plenty.
Yeah, there was plenty of that. But I think that overall, I also felt that the Elf King gave a much better performance than he did in the previous episodes. So definitely the elf storyline, the elf dwarf storyline, I think is the one that has coalesced the strongest. Like, and has been most consistently like strong. I think it started off a little weak. I think we talked about that in like the first episode where we both
the first episode,
we didn't like the Elf King or what Galadriel jumping off the boat nonsensically or whatever. Like, but I think the elf storyline has coalesced to like a consistently. I want these scenes in every episode.
Yes, and this is the one episode where we got every storyline, right? There wasn't they didn't leave one out for like because what they've done is give us elf and dwarf and then give us hobbits and humans. And before we move on, there is something I do want to talk about though. It's the Galadriel and Halbrand scene. They're talking, right? And he goes, "You don't know what I've done." So now I'm starting to think the internet might be right.
That he's Sauron?
Yeah.
I mean, it could be, or he sold himself to Sauron.
Yes, he was one of the main people that went and bowed to Adar or Sauron, whatever.
That's how I took away from it. Where like he was like, in order to survive, he bowed to the orcs, or I don't know, did something bad, and that's how I took it. But it definitely didn't unconfirm the Halbrand is Sauron theory, right? Because the three possible theories were Adar is Sauron, Halbrand is Sauron, and the stranger is Sauron.
Right.
I would say that it's highly unlikely that Andor, right, is Sauron now, based on his behavior when everybody went to worship him.
When exactly, especially. So I do think, however, Brown's son kills that old guy. I think he's the one that does it. I mean,
like the old guy who like killed his friend in order to stay.
Yes, just to kind of like balance that out. I feel like they're gonna make him kill him. So yeah, I feel like we can move forward now, because at the end of the episode, you see Halbrand go to the queen and then run back to grab his
sigil.
And so he's definitely now convinced to go fight for the humans. Okay, like we didn't know he was gonna do that.
Yeah, he's Aragorn at home. So
like every poster hadn't shown him on the horse, or like, come on now, like, okay. I just think it was horrible that they took us through that journey to get there. It could have been done in one episode.
Could have been done in 2 episodes. I definitely think it was padded. I mean, I think we agree here that the Númenor stuff was padded. Like, And I think it overstayed its welcome for not stuff that was like end of the day like super duper compelling.
Right.
Like maybe it could be if they had cast a better actor as Don Jr. or like whatever. Like I just
calling him Don Jr. is insane, but I love it.
I mean,
all right, so let's jump forward a little bit. So we're getting a battle or mini battle next week, right?
so there's what? This was episode 5. So there's 3 more episodes, right? Wait, let me just double check. So
yes,
3.
Yeah,
so 5. Not so. There's 3 more episodes. So I assume there's gonna be. I don't think there's gonna be a full battle next week.
Yeah, a mini battle because Númenor, Galadriel, and Númenor are not gonna get there quick. Like it would be fast traveling Game of Thrones style if they get there.
We have no idea what the timeline is, right? Like we don't know. Like, well, we know that the hobbits have now intersected with the humans.
Yes.
That's true. That is true.
That is very true.
I think like so we know that the storyline with the elves, not the elves, excuse me, with the humans and the hobbits have now synced up.
Intersected. Yeah, right? Because they're walking through barren lands.
And the wargs are the same wargs that were like part of the prison in the
and for the orcs to build their tunnel, they had to, pretty much mess up the entirety of the surface world. Right. And so they've definitely intersected.
But the elves have not said a single thing about what's going on in the Southlands.
No.
So they are that storyline could be happening. The elves and dwarves stuff could be happening earlier, later. We don't know. It hasn't linked up. And then saying we have no idea like how far or like where Númenor's stuff is, right? Like that's how they can cheat with the timeline, right? Is that this Númenor stuff isn't happening? Like Game of Thrones did that sometimes too, right?
Yes, definitely with the Battle of the Bastards. That was or before that, rather, sometime around that.
Yeah, like it's a common trick, right? Like where you think that like these things that are happening at the same time aren't actually happening at the same time.
Yeah,
and so like I just don't. Yeah, we're not getting. I think we get the tower fight in the 7th episode.
Okay, so we don't even get a mini battle then. We get like maybe the starts of a battle.
I think we get the starts of a battle in this, and then I think we get the like.
You think we get a training? You think we get a training montage?
Well, we got some of that this episode.
Right, we did. Arrows, and that was kind of nice. So I'm trying to jump ahead to figure out next week's episode because. Even in that little mini they gave us the next week on, I couldn't make heads or tails of it. Could you?
I mean, there's definitely going to be a lot of Númenor like going into the Southlands. There might be a small fight between like Galadriel and like the orcs. They get like an initial like skirmish.
Oh, okay.
Because you see her riding, and then there's like a scene where they're like in a village that's been destroyed.
Oh yeah.
So there might be some fighting there. It was mostly human stuff, right? That was in the trailer.
Yeah, it was mostly human stuff. There wasn't hobbits or anything of the sort.
Oh, we didn't talk about. They're going to collapse the tower, right? That was what they figured out at the end.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. That's a key. Okay.
Okay. Good. I thought it was like, oh, so they're going to drop the tower on the orcs. Okay.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I don't know. The trailer was definitely not very revealing, but I think that's purposeful because I think we're going to get some more Gandalf stuff or Sauron, the stranger stuff.
Stranger stuff. Because, yes, I'm like everyone else. I need to see that.
Yes, I think Eminem will catch up with the Meteor Man.
I'm really sick that you guys have stuck to.
Like I do think that will happen. I think it could happen at the end of the next episode. Like I think the way it ended is they have to give us some Meteor Man stuff next week, right? To pay off the injury to the Hobbit girl, right? Like I think they're not going to just like that can't float for a whole episode. And so it could easily be that Eminem catches up with the hobbits at the end of that episode. That would be a decent cliffhanger for like a next episode. So the question is like, I think for me, what I'm wondering, like, for example, like I think I figured out what happened, like what moment they're gonna end House of Dragon on for the season, which I will not spoil for Mo, or for people listening. But I think I figured it out. We'll see. But I think I figured it out. And then, but this, I don't know where they're going to end this. I think they're going to end obviously with like the humans overcoming the orcs.
Yes.
But like,
yes.
are we going to get like,
Adar dies, right?
Adar.
I think
he probably does die.
Elf guy kills him. Like Black Elf kills him.
Or his son, Browen's son could also kill him.
With what, the sword?
Mm-hmm.
Oh no, that's crazy.
Well, or he goes to come with an arrow, right? Because we now have a Schrodinger's arrow, right? Where he was like, aim higher, right? Like I think that's gonna come back, right?
Yeah, it's gonna be a thing.
It's gonna be a thing. And then so I think the humans are gonna win, obviously. Like that's just been set up. So the real question is like, what is the other storylines? I think we're gonna get. I hope we get, because I don't think they can stretch this into another season. The initial answer of like, who is the stranger? Who is the Meteor Man? I think that's what's gonna happen.
I need that. Yeah, I think everyone kind of needs that. That needs to happen. The other thing I think might happen, I think we get our first sighting of Sauron.
Like, of our first like commitment of who Sauron is.
Yeah, I think that happens by the end. If the fall of Númenor is supposed to happen next,
I would say next season makes sense for Númenor.
Yeah, I'm saying if the fall of Númenor is supposed to happen next season, then we're supposed to get. I think we get Sauron this season, so we get the whole thing set up, and of Trump overtaking. Of January 6th.
Yeah, basically, yeah. So January 6th, Middle Earth, January 6th.
And we get
blood sacrifices.
Yeah, Elendil's gonna leave. Isildur leaves. Do you think his sister stays?
Well, she is attached to the boy, Don Jr. So maybe. I mean, that would add an extra level of like tragedy to
Númenor. But then, okay, so I have another question for you. This is go ahead. I'm sorry.
Well, because I mean, think about it, right? Like if Númenor gets destroyed, and the only like named character, like because the Queen will be dead by then, right? And then it's just Trump and Trump Jr. or Don Jr. Like they are.
You need something to touch.
And so like. The sister still being attached to that, like adds like we're supposed to care about her, although they haven't like done a lot to make us care about her. But nominally, somewhere the writers are like, oh yeah, you're going to care about Isildur's sister. Like having her still be on the island when it gets destroyed would like add pathos. That just like instead of you being like, yes, Trump drowned, like all these idiots drowned,
right? Like,
and the like likable humans all went back to Middle Earth, right?
So. I have to ask you now. So, have they done anything with Isildur for you to be like, you know what? By the time Lord of the Rings happens, I will feel sorry for this guy.
No, I mean quite the opposite actually, because I thought they were going to go with the like Isildur, like noble, like the kind of like noble Oedipal kind of like he is a good person, but he has a fundamental weakness that. Causes him to become corrupted. It's he's just a fuckboy, and like I have very little sympathy for him. Like he's like, I don't want all these nice jobs my dad got me. I want to sail west. Yes, this episode 100%. Did tease. Yeah,
I was like, oh yeah, Númenor is dying next season.
Again, they're gonna get maggoed, right? Like, but
right, like,
or like Fall of Italy / I mean, that's what we're teaching right now is the crisis of the 20s and 30s at my school. So I've been thinking all about the baddies of the 20th century. And like, it's like Tolkien was clearly inspired by that stuff with the Númenor. Glorious civilization.
Yeah, he leans into his like, by the end of this, the elves will
bow to me. Oh my God.
You're going to die. Like,
it's like,
are you sure
wow.
about that?
It's like, thanks,
like
Donald.
I know your future. Okay, you don't make it out of this. Um, so yeah, I did, to be fair, that is one of the things I liked about Numenor. Again, because I know the future of Numenor, but I'm like, oh, seeing how it gets to that point, I'm like, oh, okay. So it just looks like Sauron wouldn't even have to do much. Like, they're
I mean,
setting it up so that.
but that fits like, right? Tolkien is all about cycles, and like
Mhm.
he has that like Catholic thing of like all people of original sin, right? Where like there is good in the universe, right? This is what's different than like Game of Thrones or a lot of other
Right.
like modern dark fantasy, right? It's like there's good in the universe, and like real good, capital G good exists, and humans are capable of achieving it, but they also are flawed, right? That's what people
Yes.
forget about Tolkien, that like humans are sinful and can be, there's real appeal and corruption from evil, and all good things decline over time, right? As the sinful nature of man causes things to collapse. And
Right.
that's what Numenor is, right? Like it's this capital G good society that helped defeat whatever, I'm forgetting what, Morgoth. There we go.
Morgoth.
Morgoth,
Yes.
right? And they were bros with the elves, but they're slowly declining as and Donald Trump, whatever that guy's name is. Because I say this because I can't remember what the guy's name is.
No, it's a
And
P name. It's a letter P.
uh,
Phil something.
you know,
Yeah, you or me both. I don't know.
is gonna
I
take a
can't hit
beat.
pause quick enough.
Yeah, if, Donald, the real Donald Trump would love to have that beard. I actually would love to have that beard that guy has.
Yeah, that beard is kind of sick though.
It's sick. And
The gray, and
yeah, the
all of it.
gray, and it's like full and lush. You're like, wow,
Yeah,
nice.
it's a sick beard to be wasted on such a douchey dude.
Douchey dude, and with an even douche. I mean, they really are Donald Trump and Don Jr. though, like, because
Yes,
like Dad sucks, but he's got this kind of charisma to him, that's the shitty charisma. But his son's just like, I guess
has
that
nothing.
nothing going for him.
Right. But you know what? That made Numenor, like all of the things that happened in Numenor, especially in the last couple of weeks. I think that's one of the things that made Numenor super interesting to me, was that I didn't care for Galadriel showing off against humans. Like, okay, like if you want to be a Mary Sue super hard, like this is one way to show off. Like beat 70,000 people at once.
I love that just simply because I knew the Reddit comment.
Oh, 100%.
That was my
I
favorite scene, just simply because
I already knew what the comments were gonna be, but I'm like, okay. Like she showed off, and then at the end, Halbrand showed off. I'm like, oh my god, this is like, like they're like, yeah, we're gonna lean into this a little bit super hard this episode, and they did. I loved it. Yeah. So those are the two standards. So if you had to grade this episode,
I mean, our discussion made me like it more, so I'm gonna give it just a C. I was gonna give it a C minus. Like coming in here, like when I took a shower before this, I was like, "What would I rate this episode?" I was like, a C minus, like because there was like I just felt it moved both too slow and too fast for me.
Yes.
Like there were moments where I was like, "Oh my god, this is going on forever," and then I was like, "Wait, why is this happening? Like what?" I feel like I missed something, and it's never good in a show when you feel like you missed an episode. And I did feel at certain moments like I missed an episode, even though I've been a faithful watcher of the show for every week.
No, and you're right. And I think one of the things that we both discussed was how the sister just all of a sudden just is super anti-war. But you're right. The discussion makes it more fun because I'm thinking about how like I was like, man, I was trying super hard because what was it, Friday? I just landed on the East Coast, so I'm tired. So it was I stayed up to watch it, which I shouldn't have done. I stayed up to watch it. So that was probably my big mistake right there, was staying up to watch it. So again, it felt like it was kind of boring, but it was good. And so it was always going to be a C for me. But yes, the discussion did it open up a lot of things more, and made me like, oh, because I totally forgot about Eminem. I'm not even gonna lie to you. Like that's another reason why I didn't talk about like because now I'm saying, oh yeah, those religious people came and touched the ground where he fell. That's a thing.
And they had the little map that was the same as the one the guy glowed and the one that Galadriel had.
Right.
Just,
so I'm like,
the world's greatest archivist in the third episode. I think it's the third or the fourth. Again, they all blur together.
It was a slow horse episode, whatever that one was, the super epic horse riding episode. But yeah, I totally forgot about the religious people that touched the ground, and that is a shame. And it would have come up next week, and I'd be like, "Wait, that happened last week?" And you're like, "Yes, it did." But no, the discussion definitely like makes it a lot more fun. So it's probably one of the reasons why I think this is an important part of
the week. Well,
of the week.
I have a question that we've been basically doing, although I guess technically this started before House of Dragon. Who's winning in the E2CC power rankings between the two high fantasy shows that are currently on? Did this change enough for you, or do you still think House of Dragon is
still House of Dragon still clears? And I think because again, the powerful fifth episode, it's if we go by fifth episodes, right? Like because again, the fifth episodes of both shows. Actually, I've said House of Dragon, but I'm gonna redirect the question to you then. If we look at which show's middle episode, right, has been like, okay, now I want to see where the story goes more for you.
Well, it would definitely be House of Dragon, because I think House of Dragon played to its strengths of like the material in the fifth episode, so like we talked about in the review last Monday. It's weird to think I'm gonna be watching House of Dragon in just like a couple hours, but
right.
It's weird about doing this so late, and I apologize to our loyal followers.
No,
it's my fault.
But
I think that this definitely made me more interested. Talking now specifically about Powers, more interested in some of its central mysteries, even if it was a weaker episode overall. Like I think House of Dragon this past week gave us like one of its strongest episodes. Would be like I put episode 5 and then episode 2 as its two strongest episodes. And then this, I didn't like. This was not an individually strong episode, but I think it did stack the deck and made me more committed to some of the mysteries that the show wants me to be interested in. So I do think this was a House of. This is a question for me. House of Dragons is based on the Targaryen history book, yes, that George R. R. Martin wrote. So he wrote a book that covers the first 6 Targaryen kings and contains the single largest section of the book is the storyline that's being adapted in House of Dragons. He also wrote some short stories that had the material, like some of the material from it, but he like brought all of that together and expanded on it for a book called Fire and Blood. And if you like are interested in, like, if you really love Game of Thrones or A Song of Ice and Fire, the book series, it's definitely worth reading. I mean, it will spoil the hell out of the show. So if you don't want that, don't. But if you like it is definitely worth it for Martin fanboys or ex-fanboys or fan people to do. So, and it's like as a fake history book, it's as good as it can possibly be. But anyway,
fake history book.
It is a fake history book though. Like, it's not like Infinite Jest. There's no footnotes that are made up. If there were made up footnotes, that would be the whole thing. But I think this episode, in the context of Ring of Power, accomplished what I think it wanted to accomplish, which is move all these storylines. Like literally, the name of the episode is Partings, right? I appreciate Jeff Bezos giving the episode titles to us instead of like waiting a week before we know what the episode, because episode titles are such spoilers. But I think the central organizing principle of this episode, which is Partings, really does work, and it pushes the storyline forward, I think, in mostly compelling ways, even if it wasn't always executed in the strongest fashion.
Right.
I don't know if any of that makes any sense. But
no, it does. It does, because what in essence you're saying, like, things happen in this episode, not the entire episode itself. If you take House of Dragon, the entire episode, it makes you feel like, okay, this is like the entire episode is strong, and it makes you want to see what comes on next. But this has things like, okay, with the Stranger storyline, with the Tower storyline, and with things you want to see play out, versus like, where is the entire story going, right?
That's Mo did a much more articulate way of saying the point I wanted.
No, but that's how I felt watching it. Like, okay, like I definitely want to see what happens with the gray guy next, right? I'm gonna keep calling him Gray until like you can call him the Stranger if you want. I'm gonna call him
Well, I
Gray
think
because
actually what our commentator said of Meteor Man, that's the one I'm going to try to use. So Eminem and Meteor Man, like that's a storyline that also sounds like a great Eminem album name. So
right. But yeah, so Gray or Medium Man, um, definitely want to see a story, and I want to see what happens. You know, the great battle, and if this, I will say this though, if the season ends with a great setup for the fall of Númenor, I would think it has done its job.
I agree. I think there's still room for this series to end on a really strong note. What series is
Mm,
most likely to make you cry in the end? I don't think that. I think if any of them, it's going to be House of the Dragon because I think
yeah,
House
for
of the
me, it's gonna be
Dragon is
House of
going
Dragon.
for that. Like that's the emotional note that they want. I think
Yes,
I can say this because again I know what's going to happen in broad strokes because I read Martin's book, but I think like there's no like bittersweet is that the most you get out of that material, right?
I
And
think I
so
know what you're trying to not say. I think I know what you're trying really hard to not say what you're not trying to say,
um and so
if
I
that
think
makes sense.
I no, I think I don't unless you've been Googling Mo, I don't
I
think
have not. I have
you
not,
can
but
you can predict what's good what I think is gonna be the big end of the season moment. But I could be wrong. Anyway, I think that I think because I think this season I think is gonna end on a triumphant note, and then it's
mhm,
gonna slightly undercut it with like a revelation of who Sauron is. Right?
right.
So I think it's gonna be like the humans won, yay, right? Like we beat the orcs, the tower people survived, like hugs, like kind of like, you know what I mean? Like everyone's like, yes, we did it. Numenor like came and rescued us. The Southlands is saved. Awesome. Then secretly, no, wait, Sauron is X person. Bum bum bum. Right. And then maybe something like with Donald Trump that's like, it could even be a scene between Donald Trump and Sauron that's like, Numenor is in trouble. Bump, bump, bump. Like, I think it's going to be 75% yay, 25% like bad stuff is like not far away.
Right.
House of
And I will
Dragons, I
be
think, is going to have a more melancholy ending because that's just where it is. I think this show is more, because it's Tolkien, is like more hopeful in that sense
yes,
than
yes,
a show that's about a civil war. Like that's not a spoiler
right.
to say. House of Dragon is building towards a civil war.
I mean, war is coming. It's
Yeah,
literally what Otto tells his daughter.
yeah. I mean, like
You
it's not a spoiler to
know,
say that there's going to be a Targaryen civil war at some point in House of Dragon. But
mhm,
that's not the vibe that Rings of Power is going for.
right.
So if you want tears, I think House of Dragon is where to go.
House
If
of
you
Dragon.
if you want like I think that there's going to be a triumphant note with some tones of concern at the
Hmm.
end of the season if I was to place a bet.
Okay. Okay, that makes sense. But yeah, so that is our review for I almost said House of the Dragon, Lord of the Rings, The Rings of Power, because today is Sunday.
Today is
That is
Sunday.
our review for it. Thank you for joining. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Thank you for commenting. Don't be sure to. Dang, how do we do this one? Be sure to like, because with She-Hulk we say smash, right?
Smash.
What would we
What would
say
we?
for
I think
this?
like we figured it out last time we did this.
I think we did. I'm upset.
Well, there's only
Well,
one thing to rule you them all, which is subscribing and liking.
that is it. That is it. So yeah,
uh,
be sure to like and subscribe and share. Thank you again for watching. Thank you for commenting, and we will catch you actually. So we'll catch you next Friday.
well, for this show,
Right?
we'll catch you next Friday. Yeah, I'm good. Oh no, my mother-in-law will be here, so it's not this Friday.
Exactly. Yeah.
I was
So
like,
yeah.
yeah.
So we'll catch you when we catch you. Right. We'll see you when we see you. Next week is gonna probably be a tough week because well, you know what? We'll save that for when we get off. But thank you for watching, and be sure.
But we will see tomorrow for House of Dragon.
Yes,
Or
we
maybe not.
will.
Maybe not. Maybe not.
We will try to see you more for House of Dragon. Thank you for watching, and we'll catch you on the next one. Peace.